everyone, I'm Jake from Jet Set Models, and today I'm coming to you from the heart of beautiful Orange County, where over the past few months I've had the incredible opportunity to collaborate with renowned artist Brian Keane on a truly one-of-a-kind aviation project. To my right, we have an American Airlines Boeing 767, and to my left is, to my knowledge, one of the most ambitious and intricate 1/400 scale dioramas that I have ever seen.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Keane here in Orange County, California, and I'm here to share with you some great exciting news as we begin to build these World of Airport displays. And it's really kind of, for me, been all about the models and about the memories. I have some great memories growing up in the 70s and 80s with some of these airports. And of course, like many of you, I'm a great collector of aircraft, and be able to marry up the aircraft with these displays has been a lot of fun, and I hope you'll enjoy it. So the first thing we'll do is we'll show you what we have here. We have a total of 4 displays right now, with more to come. Starting with JFK, way down here on the end. This is as it appeared in the 70s. As you can see, we've cut out this center area so people can get around the inside to see all the 9 terminals. We also have the cargo area as it appeared in JFK in the 70s. And then a little bit closer to us, we have, of course, the mighty LAX airport with not only some classic aircraft from the 70s and 80s, which we enjoy, but also a lot of the modern day aircraft that you see there today. And then moving on to Mumbai International Airport, as it appears about 2015. This is a really unique example of the modern technology coexisting next to a very poor slum area that borders the airport, and of course home to Air India. And then finally, another memory of mine, having worked for Pan Am in London, England, is this beautiful display of London Heathrow. And this is Terminal 3 as it appeared in the 70s. And just love it because it has so much of a variety of aircraft: Concorde, 707s, VC-10s, DC-10s, L-1011s, and of course, just acres of 747s, which we really enjoy. So it's been a lot of fun building. I've had a lot of great partners through it all. Jake from Jet Set Models, Andy Roski from Tarmac Designs, and of course Raj Shaw, a good friend of mine who we've been working with this on together. And looking forward to building more airports coming up: Hong Kong, Kai Tak, and Paris, Charles de Gaulle, Narita, Tokyo, and many more. Hey, here's something special you don't see every day. Here's a set of stairway from a 747-200 that we were able to procure. Something you don't usually see when you're coming from one level to another. But here we go, downstairs on a 747 spiral staircase. Well, for many of us, Los Angeles is the epitome of aircraft spotting. There's so many different kinds of airlines and equipment to see. But not only that, it's so unique in terms of the building structures, the roadways, the towers, of course the theme building, which has been there since the early 60s. And it all seems to work, even though there are times I know we're frustrated when we walk through this terminal that it feels like we're walking for miles. But you can see really firsthand how big LAX is, and that they can fit so many aircraft around these terminals. We also included the southern runways, just to give you a sense of scope of the size of LAX. Of course, it has 2 northern runways, which we didn't display here. It would have meant we would have had about a 20 by 20 display. This display is about 15 feet by 15 feet, so it's definitely no small display. And of course, we wanted to show the runways so you could see the movements of aircraft. We also wanted to light it up, and we did light up the runways and the taxiways. And then we also added the general aviation area as well as the cargo area and what I call a special fantasy VIP area. There's so many beautiful VIP models in 100-400 scale now that it just seemed to me like a perfect opportunity to showcase some of those models. So we have those there. But, the Tom Bradley terminal, of course, in all of its glory, that roof was quite an interesting story because we had to find the exact paint that they used for that roof. So I went to the architect and begged them to give me all the specs, which they did. And I was able to find the paint and use the exact paint for that roof. But what a wonderful combination of models and ground equipment, cars and taxiways and all the things that we just love to see our airplanes operating in. I think this was a good example of us using some classic aircraft, from the 70s and 80s, like Pan Am and TWA, as well as Continental and early Delta colors and American colors. And we juxtaposition that, of course, with some of the more modern aircraft that are in there today. But a lot of fun to put this together, and a real team effort from AvPro Designs to make it happen. And again, I can't say enough about the people that helped me do this. I have a special shout out to my son Ryan, who did all of the lighting on all of these airports. And as you go from one airport to another, you'll see how we have, enhanced the lighting every step of the way. This was a really fascinating build because we had to cover a lot of area. Our desire was to not only get the central terminal area, but also all of the external concourses, including the Tom Bradley terminal and the West Tibbet building, and including the southern runways, which also included the southern cargo area. So this is about a 15-foot by 15-foot display. And of course, it's hard to get over it, so we had to use this platform here on wheels to wheel it over the top of the display so that we could place all of the aircraft, the terminals, the ground equipment in a position that we could not have reached with our arm. And so that was something unique and something to think about when you're building a diorama, that if you build a big one, you've got to have the ability to get to the middle of it in order to, capture everything you need. And then on top of all that, and you might be able to see it in the daylight, but we did light up the airport. We lit up the central terminal area with some micro lights. And then the southern section we lit up with a system of clear tubes and LEDs. So that was another part of the project that was quite amazing. If you can really zoom in on the right corner, you can actually see a little vignette we did of the In-N-Out Burger joint, which is located, as you know, right at the north end of LAX. Just a little fun to have with that. But I'll take you now from right to left. So you have the old control tower, which was there for about 40 years before it was replaced by the new one. And now you can see all of the roadway that snakes around it, and of course the train system, which now snakes around it as well. But kind of an arid, dry area, palm trees and such. And then as we move into the central terminal area, you can see the parking garages that were added, the double-deck highway that goes all the way around, the unmistakable light posts that also dot the entire area. So that was quite a lot to build. The first part was that's the first part I built. We're going to take you in an in-depth view of each of the terminals, and we're going to start kind of backwards, going to the front. But Terminal 8, which was an addendum pier for United Airlines, this is how it would have appeared in the mid-70s, late 80s. We even have a gate that's under construction. No airport is an airport without at least some construction, right? So here you have some DC-8s and some early 727-100s, 737-100s. This would be a relief area for the main gates, which were over here at Terminal 7. Terminal 7, you'll see more of the wide-body aircraft, more of the international flying. the 747-400 in the Saul Bass colors, as well as the DC-10 and some other types of aircraft around that use that terminal. Of course, some of the smaller airlines were shunted around at different places. This was a point in time where Alaska had a gate at Terminal 7, but of course Alaska's been moved from one terminal to another. It's hard to keep track of them all. Moving beyond them to Terminal 6, you see the Continental operation. And this would have been back in the early 70s, of course, when they had their 747s, DC-10s, 727s, their Airbus, and they also shared their space with PSA. PSA utilized DC-9s, and they actually had an L-1011 and flew out of there to Vegas and other places. Moving on to Terminal 5 was a classic Delta terminal. Delta ran their 747-200s to Atlanta and Miami, and I always like to see. I like to place their L-1011s and their 747s together, and then moving on to Terminal 5. That would have been the American terminal, actually Terminal 4, excuse me, the American terminal with full bevy of 747 classics and the early beginnings of the 767s, of course, DC-10s, MD-80s, and 737s, sharing that space with Air Cal, who they eventually bought. And then moving to the Tom Bradley terminal, of course, with all of the best of the best of the international carriers, a combination of A380s, 747s, A340-600s, DC-8s, Dreamliners, and A350s. Again, here we tried to kind of bring it up to modern day to show what you would see there today. Although, sadly, the 747s are just about all gone except for Korean and Lufthansa. But some beautiful models here that look just fantastic together. We utilized this ramp layout a little bit from the No Point Return guys. We kind of grafted it in because it was such a great ramp foil, and it really captured the Tibbet building. And again, the customization of everything that goes into the jet bridges and the piers, the weathering, the exact gate numbers are there. Of course, the main head house as the Tibbet is there, and the connectors as well. And then, of course, the West Tibbet is here, and a really powerful-looking building with lots of activity. You can see some Dreamliners there from ANA, Air Pacific 747, Air New Zealand with the special Lord of the Rings insignia, Aer Lingus A330s, Malaysian 400, even a Hawaiian Express DC-10 and an Ecuadoriana DC-10. Both of those were short-lived, but definitely a part of LA. And just for good measure, we've got a nice China Southern A380 parked at the gate. Of course, those aircraft have now been removed from service, but it's good to see it here. An Etihad A350 on the hard stand, a 747 of United getting an engine change. You can see the engines being swapped out on the left side, and then an American Dreamliner being pushed back out to get to the gate. And then as we get out onto the runways here, you can see a lot of beautiful aircraft taxiing. We've got Qantas and Air New Zealand on the taxiways, and EVA Air landing on the runway, and a classic Lufthansa 747-800 Intercontinental landing on the outboard runway. Interesting fact is that this outboard runway is wider runway than all the other runways, so it gives the aircraft a little bit more space to operate. And then as we move over into the southern section of LAX, the fantasy location for VIP movements, the state government. These airplanes from Phoenix are absolutely fantastic, and we've showed them, with a full showcase here. The state government of Egypt, of India, of Britain, of Korea, of Morocco, and of France, and of Turkey. And then kind of sliding over, I love these interactive models that are available now with the nose loading and the cargo doors open. And we've got both a Air China and a China Southern on the blocks here with a KLM Cargo, DHL, and as a nod to Federal Express when they bought Flying Tigers, we've got one of their 747s there. And then moving on over to the FBO, we've got some really cool little business jets. And of course, since we have a presidential movement on the other side of the field, we have some presidential helicopters and a C-117 here, and then a Flying Tigers aircraft being converted to Federal Express, as it might have appeared back in the 80s. So just really fun to put all together, just all kinds of really intricate little things here and there that we like to add. And it's central terminal area, of course. We want to do Terminal 1. Let's do Terminal 1. Of course, Southwest Airlines, back when U.S. Airways operated, so a little bit of U.S. Airways, a little bit of America West, but predominantly Southwest. And then moving into Terminal 2, we have the Northwest operation combined with the Pan Am operation. Terminal 2 used to be the original international terminal, and now it's been converted to more of a domestic terminal. And so for a short period of time, those two airlines coexisted at Terminal 2. We love having the little Airlink, Northwest Airlink in the corner there with the ramp boarding, as well as some Pan Am A310s with the new logos, and of course their classic 7.4 and L1011 in the classic logos. We try to marry up the equipment to match the airline, so you'll notice a lot of red equipment for Northwest and blue equipment for Pan Am. And then finally moving over here to Terminal 3, a classic arrangement of Trans World Airlines aircraft, 747s, a couple of SPs, and L1011 and MD-80. And then for good measure, a little bit of an Eastern influence with Eastern Airlines 8300s, 757, and L1011. And then kind of wrap it all up with an Hawaiian L1011, another airline that used to get shunted around to different terminals. And so this was a lot of fun, putting this all together and showing up some of these classics that we grew up with. And I know it's all changed now, but we're just trying to capture some memories of what we remember. The central terminal area, starting with the tower, and of course the theme building, which is iconic now, but almost unrecognizable because there's so much around it. You barely can see it anymore. But the parking garages, the roadways, the old terminal, the old tower, I should say, and then the iconic LAX symbols and columns and traffic jams, all showing us what LAX is all about.
Okay, Brian, so as I kind of look at this is obviously a lot of different stuff. Where do you start? Do you build in sections? Do you work from here outwards? Or vice versa? How does this kind of work? Where does the creative process begin for you?
Yeah, well, for me, for different people, it might be different ways. But of course, first and foremost is having to do the aerial layout of each of these buildings. And I start out literally with pieces of paper and silhouettes of the sizes of the parking garages, the theme building, because initially I didn't have all this this material. So I wanted to size it up to make sure that I had the right 1 in 400 scale. Had to do some calculations related to the actual size of the building, and then reducing it down to the right size that I needed for 1 in 400. I definitely decided to do this first because this was the most complex, and through this, everything else emanates from it. So I built these parking garages myself. I sourced this train system from one of the 3D modelers, as well as the towers and the main terminals at the end that lead to the Tom Bradley terminal. So once I had all of those components, I was able to really get a feel for the size of it, and then finished it out with this roadway here to make sure that it all fit. So this was definitely the first piece. Get that all done, roughed in. I waited, on some of the things like the grass and the palm trees, all this stuff that came later. But then once I had that, then I literally started around the horn with Terminal 1, 2, 3, 3D printed and then weathered and modified for what I wanted, and then worked my way around to the other terminals, and so that they all fit properly and were aligned. I was really a stickler on making sure that these terminals line up as they do in real life. So, Terminal 1 and Terminal 2 straddle the theme building, and so got to make sure all of that really works right. The tower is right in line with Terminal 2. Those kind of fits are what you're really looking for to make sure it all lines up. So that's how I built that kind of all the way around. The last part that I built was really this section here, the Tom Bradley Terminal and Tibet West. All that came later. Some of these additional support buildings that are needed. This telescopic bridge I built myself to connect the buildings as it is today. And once I had this northern section built, I had to move it into a warehouse because I simply had no more room in my house for all of these, for all of this. So then I moved that to the warehouse, and then I started building the southern runways. Had to make sure everything lined up with the terminals, and that took another, 7 feet by 7 feet to do. So it took about 6-month process to get it all done. And thankfully, if I'd had to hand build everything, it would have taken me over a year and a half. But thanks to some really good modelers who have been able to perfect these 3D printed models, we were able to use quite a bit of that in Los Angeles.
Yeah. So it's a mix of 3D printed parts, some of these towers and buildings, but then also you have stuff over here like this In-N-Out.
Yeah.
So obviously handcrafted.
Yeah, kind of a whimsy look here. We know that the In-N-Out Burger joint on the north side of LAX is a famous place to watch aircraft, and so I built it in 1:400 scale, and just kind of makes it fun to think about, seeing what it looks like from about, 3,000 feet up in the air. And as we'll take you to a higher level, we've got this catwalk above Los Angeles, and we'll take you up to the top there. And when you look down, it feels like you're in an aircraft flying about 4,500 feet over LAX, which is pretty cool. Hey, welcome to Mumbai International Airport. Wow, what a build. Challenging in every respect. This is a 1:400 scale like all the others, and it really shows a contrast between the modern technology that's out there today in terms of not only the terminal itself, but also in the way we build 3D products. And here we have a combination of handcrafted and 3D printed structures that we have lit up just as it is in real life. And we have filled it with the aircraft that you would see if you flew into Mumbai today, as well as really showcasing Air India, an airline with a livery that has always been the most striking to me and probably the most prolific here, that we've been able to show a total of maybe 7 747s all together, along with a bevy of other European carriers and a few of our large super aircraft, the A380. This is a example of marrying up all this modern technology with the contrast of a poor shantytown environment that exists right next to the airport threshold. Here's a ground level view of Mumbai, and we'll start over here on the east side. And here, as I say, you can see the contrast of the poor living conditions that exist right around this multi-million-dollar airport. We have a shanty town there, and yet right next to that we have all of the aircraft lighting. So what makes this place so unique, again, is the contrast of the poor sections of Mumbai and this modern technology right alongside. And We built in the remote stands that house quite a bit of aircraft, as well as the shanty towns as they run all the way along the east side of Mumbai. Most people who fly in and out of there say that's the first thing they see when they land or take off out of Mumbai. And it's true because they're right by the runway threshold. And so it is quite striking. When you look closely at the shantytown, you'll see these little flickering lights, and those are to symbolize fires that are being burned, where people are able to keep warm or cook food and all that. So we really up the lighting on this one. As you get closer to the terminal and the runways, taxiways, you'll see that we really pulled off a lot of great lighting. We have a rapid light system on the displaced threshold, and then not only the corner lights and edge lights, but also the center touchdown lights. And here we have an Air India 747 preparing to take off on runway 27. And we have aircraft of all kinds taxiing to the active runway. A Kingfisher 747-400, of course that's a fantasy, with the flaps down as it just exits runway 27. And we ran these taxiway lights all the way up into the center of the terminal area. So a real great job here. My son Ryan assisted me in all of the lighting and did a fantastic job. A lot of work underneath these boards to make this happen. A lot of power required, and a lot of schematic drawings that needed to be made. So as we move into the center of the terminal here, you'll see, of course, a real variety of aircraft, starting with all the Air India aircraft, and we're really pleased to see these aircraft all together. It's a rare treat to see so many Air India 747s and 777s and A330s, as well as a Dreamliner and A350 here and there. And then, of course, all of the international carriers, the wide bodies to London and Frankfurt and Amsterdam, along with the Emirates A380s and Etihad A380 to their respective hubs. We have a remote stand there with a Russian aircraft with the nose up, getting cargo for its flight back to Russia, and then an Air France 747 on the hard stand preparing for a flight back to Paris. And then as you kind of come through here to the front of the building, it's a pretty impressive entranceway to Mumbai. And we really went all out here to develop the local taxi cabs and the jitney cars that are used in this area of the world, and the columns and the glass that makes it just a first-rate airport. We have the Indian flag and the statue of Shiva, one of the key figures in the history of India, as well as these manicured trees and other parts that just help to wrap up this really beautiful airport. Moving on over to the domestic terminal, again, Indigo and Indian Airlines and Jet Airways and others all occupy here, along with a group of commuter F-27s, as you can see there. So a great lineup. Indian Airlines, before they merged with Air India, had an A380, or A300, I should say, and of course now all of this is Air India. But we wanted to show that part of history that showed Indian Airlines as they appeared back in the first part of 2000. And then finally, don't want to miss the towers. This original tower is unmistakable for Mumbai. It was decommissioned in 2015. And the new tower is now up and running, and that's the one you see today. But there was about a sweet spot of a year where both towers were up and operational. So there you have it, Mumbai International Airport, a real contrast in modern technology and third world existing together side by side. This little hard stand area really symbolizes the part of the cargo section that unfortunately we didn't have enough room to include, but here you get a chance to see a British heavy lift aircraft along with a couple of really cool 747s, Singapore Airlines Cargo and TNT. As you can notice here, we've added the doors of the aircraft here to the front end loaders to give it some more realism. And we have some more containers to put around there to add to the realism. But we've got the center terminal area, I should say the center fire station area with the water tower, which is unmistakably situated right there at the center of the airport. And you get a better view of the lineup of aircraft as they head to 27. And then finally, we just love this lineup of Air India 747s. The piers include all of the advertisement that you would see in Mumbai. And the red equipment really symbolizes the close connection to the Air India aircraft. And just really love that view of so many beautiful aircraft together. So there you have it, Mumbai International Airport in 1/400 scale. And today we're here with a beautiful 12-foot by 12-foot display of London Heathrow Airport as it looked in the 70s. A special time for me because I remember being at Heathrow, working for Pan Am back in those days. And all of these aircraft you see here are reminiscent of that time when I was out there. Starting with the terminal construction here, all this is handcrafted. We've got of course, the buses from London, Heathrow, the double-decker buses. We've got the traffic going left side versus right side, as it is in the U.S. And I wanted to start out with a really strong base of models at the very core of the building here. And so the arrival section here, the departure section, the multi-car parking, the boiler house, and something really special for me is the control tower. A lot of these kind of items have already been removed and it's all been rebuilt. But as you move out into the Terminal 3 area and you see the concourses, you see the original concourse here that includes the hard stand area and the VC-10s and smaller 707s. And then you kind of move out into what they call the Jumbo Pier, which was built specifically for the 747. And as you can see here, we've got a variety of classic 747s out there. The one call it caveat that we have for this is that we lined up a group of Landor designed British Airways 747s. It's a very impressive lineup. We also have, of course, the Negus livery, as you can see off to the left there by the South African 747. So just a little bit of a mix. We kind of, took a little bit. Oh no! Now film this. Hey, and this is something really cool here. To cover our displays, we have a motorized dust cover. Okay, is that not cool or what? The sides come up and the top comes down, the lights turn off, and within a few minutes, you'll see that the entire display is perfectly enclosed. No dust can get in, and it's protected from any of the, material or floating particles in the room. So a really special type of construction that makes this display one of a kind. And those dust covers automatically started coming down, and we didn't want to get our head in the middle of all that, so we had to cut it short. But we did want to come back to Heathrow to really show you the beauty of this airport. You can just see from the green and the old world look of the buildings that this is just a classic European airport of the 70s that was able to build a huge following of aircraft here. You know, in the 70s, the 747 was king, and there's no other place in the world where you could probably see it more than at Heathrow Airport. Terminal 3 was the center of all international traffic. And what I love about it is that you can see so many different kinds of aircraft. They're not all cookie cutters like we have today. Back then, you had VC-10s and DC-10s and L-1011s and 707s and Concorde and of course 747 regular, SP-400 and in all kinds of different positions. And I tried to be as true to my memory of how the terminal looked in the 70s and where everybody was parked. And I hope I got most of it right. But, you know, interesting little things that we put together that were common then. El Al next to Iran Air. Well, there's two countries that are at war with each other, but when it came to an airport environment, it just seemed like there was no conflict. They existed side by side and cooperated like all the other airlines did too. And this is about the time when British Airways still operated out of this building before they went to the next terminal. And so you really had a lot of aircraft in this combined into this terminal before they left. So, I'm just really pleased with this one. It's probably one of our first generation examples of Heathrow, but we just love the combination of aircraft, and you can kind of see the influence of the British colonies because we see a lot of airlines that were tied to Great Britain back at that time, and here they are all coexisting together. And then finally, here at the main terminal, we've got some handcrafted parking garages and the terminal building that's all lighted, the chiller plant here, and of course the iconic tower that of course was removed after the new tower was built. But these are all buildings that were built during World War II, and suffice to say they were all really functional for quite a long time. So a lot of fun building it. I have great memories of Heathrow, working for Pan Am and driving out on the ramp and working through these concourses. And for me, I love being able to see it from a bird's eye view up above, because from the ground it looks like just a hodgepodge of activity, and you really can't figure out where everybody's parked and where they're going and the direction. But from up above, you really can see it was a very organized airport, and they were able to accommodate a lot of equipment. So I hope you enjoy London Heathrow. Happy to share with you a real beautiful diorama of John F. Kennedy Airport as it appeared in the 70s. And start right here with one of the more popular terminals, the Pan Am Worldport, where many of us aviation enthusiasts would spend some time right up here on the upper rooftop deck, looking out over the vast expanse of Kennedy Airport. I think I see my car up there. But, a lot of fun and really inspiring memory for me to be able to see all these beautiful aircraft parked right in next to the parking garage. There was no security back then, so you could just come and go as you please. I think it cost like $5 to park there. And I would bring my lunch and hang out there all day and watch airplanes come and go. And so, back there, Pan Am Worldport was not only the host of Pan Am, but also the host of many other carriers, Aeroflot, Iran Air, Czech, and others that are not represented here. Helicopter operation as well. And then just as a little bit of a fantasy nod, Pan Am, they ordered the Concorde at one point, although they never took delivery of it. But a really interesting building because, when this first started, it was just the saucer, and just a few 707s and 727s parked around it. But later, as the jumbo jets came into being in the 70s, they expanded all this area. And as you can see, they really upped the game there in terms of how much gate parking they could create. So if we kind of move a little bit to this side, you'll see that the International Arrivals Building was really what I'd call the Ellis Island of America. Whereas in the past people came by boat to New York and immigrated to America, now the IAB, as we call it, became the new Ellis Island. And this is where thousands and thousands, millions really, of immigrants came to America. And you can see all the different airlines, all the different liveries that would be represented here. Of course, the main contact gates were pretty awesome because they had these beautiful 3-bridge over-wing bridges there. And a nod for Jake at Jet Set Models. He helped me build all those really nice over-wing bridges. And so they really came out great. And you can see that the building was really set up for the jumbo jets. And they still had 707s and DC-8s and other types of smaller narrow-body jet aircraft, but the 747s, the DC-10s, L-1011s dominated this building. This particular aircraft is a particularly high-priced 747. It has the livery of both Vyasa and then, of course, KLM on the other side. And that was a rare aircraft for about maybe 3 years in the 70s when Vyasa was interested in working with KLM on building their network, and KLM provided the consulting and the know-how on how to run their airline. I've got some other really cool airlines here, Varig and Aerolíneas. These were early morning arrivals into Kennedy, and then as the day went by, they got pushed back to the hard stands and then brought back to the gates later. Lufthansa always getting the prime spot there at the end of the terminal, and KLM, Aer Lingus, very constant people, constant airlines that we would see all the time at Kennedy. And moving over here to the TWA Flight Center, this particular building is a really difficult building. I've handcrafted these before. I have one in the JFK Hotel that was completely handcrafted, and I can tell you it was one of the toughest terminals to build because I had to figure out how to build it without any interior support of any kind. It's a building that has no 90-degree angles. It's all round, and so it's really a marvel. And now the flight centers, Wing 1 and Wing 2, reference again the importance of the wide-body aircraft and how many they could actually accommodate this little building here. And this was quite a large corner lot, if you will, for TWA. So even though their terminal was small, they had a huge amount of real estate that they could park their aircraft in. And we've kind of mixed here. We've kind of taken some liberties. We have the original TWA ribbon livery along with the double stripe livery, and we even added in the last livery that TWA had before they went out of business. So we've got that here too. And you continue on to terminal number 6, and this was the National Sundrome. And while it didn't have the same amount of aircraft amount that you'd see at other terminals, it was beautiful because it was the only fully glass terminal at Kennedy. So at the time that it was built, it was considered to be extremely modern. It had these 2 satellites here, primarily made for narrow-body aircraft, not particularly able to handle the wide bodies, but it did a DC-10 okay. 747s not so much, but National only had 2 flights a day, so it wasn't that big of a deal for them. But I kind of love that sunburst tail, and kind of reminds you of the Florida destinations and sunny destinations they flew to. And while we're here, this is a portion of runway 13 left, which, as you know, was the famous Canarsie approach. It was a diving right turn to land. And I got this as a gift from a friend and promised him that I would include it in this display. This is, of course, the Ukrainian Antonov that unfortunately was destroyed during the Russian war. But here it is in representation there. So if you look to the far side over there, you'll see Terminal 7, which was the British Airways and Air Canada terminal. Kind of a really difficult terminal to build, believe it or not. Lots of different levels and elevations, and kind of unique here where you see that you see all the British aircraft, but also airlines from the British colonies are really featured here with South African, Air Jamaica, Air Canada. These airlines had close ties with Britain. Of course, we have the Concorde, which really adds a lot of drama to the terminal because it's such a beautiful, cool aircraft next to the 747s, which are kind of like the trucks across the Atlantic. So really nice there. And we'll move up in here. And this was the northern cargo area of Kennedy. And you wouldn't think that you'd find a lot of aircraft here, but it was a great place to spot airplanes. Seaboard World was a powerhouse, one of the few airlines that actually put their name on the top of their roof. But they had 747s that they ran to London and other parts of Asia. And then, of course, Lufthansa Cargo, the location of the infamous Goodfellas movie where they stole millions of dollars of jewelry off of a Lufthansa Cargo aircraft, which is really, really cool. And I think I'm going to add some of those cars in there with showing them coming in. And then this line of Flying Tigers aircraft, fantastic. I mean, it was such a powerful look to see these aircraft lined up, just taking cargo all over the world. This hangar here still exists at Kennedy. It's probably about 70 years old, and it still serves as a cargo building now for all of these carriers, Airborne Express, Emery Worldwide, and we even pulled a little bit of a China Airlines cargo here in the corner in their original livery. And of course, these three hangars were unmistakably a part of Kennedy of the 70s. They've since been removed, but back then they housed 747s for many airlines all over the world that didn't have their own facility. And so here you have an El Al aircraft being serviced. Out on this side over here, you have Air France and Iraqi with aircraft in the hangars. And then outside, where all the oil and all the dirt and everything else comes off of these planes, you have a TMA green 747 from Beirut and a Japan Airlines 747 as well. So, as you can see, by adding this section here, we really amped it up. And as we go around and talk a little bit more about the other terminals, I found that this was a lot of fun to put together. The runway, the connection between the main terminals and the northern cargo area, all of the trucks and all. I mean, again, great job here with Jake at Jet Set Models for the trucks. Again, all the rest of this is all hand built. All the buildings, the hangars, hand built by myself. So now we talk about the final set of terminals within the central terminal area. And let's start with this one here with American. American had this beautiful front glass mural that was unmistakable when you got to Kennedy Airport. It was very vivid, and at night it got lit up, and you could see it from miles away. And of course, American with their awesome silver unpainted aluminum finish, 707s, DC-10s, 747s. And interesting here with American, in their expanded 747 gate area, they not only use aircraft left like we typically see today, but they also boarded from aircraft right. Now, I don't know how they loaded cargo when they were boarding from aircraft right, but they used it back then just like that. We move over this way and you start to see the United Terminal. This was Terminal 9, and you get down there low and you can see I actually built the inside of the terminal with the check-in counters, and of course the parking and the taxis. And United had 3 or 4 747s a day in and out to San Francisco and LAX. And then, of course, there's stretch DC-8s and 727s. And then this little concourse here was kind of a catch-all. It was really more for charters. Freddie Laker ran his SkyTrain operation out of this terminal, and Trans International operated out of here, as well as Spantex, and occasionally British Caledonia would be in there as well. So then we of course have the separation between those terminals, and the second set of terminals with the Van Wyck Expressway and the Crossfield Taxiway that shows shown here. It shows how exciting it was to be able to drive underneath and watch a 747 cruising over the top of you. Then we get into the Eastern Airlines area. And Eastern had a pretty big powerhouse going. It was the first major terminal built at JFK, and it won a lot of awards for architecture. It was really built for smaller aircraft because it was really only one story. But, once they started getting more wide bodies, they had to build escalators and stairs to get the aircraft, get up to the aircraft level. So Eastern, again, reminding everybody of a vacation and holidays to sunny locations. Really cool place. And then we moved back over here finally to the last terminal. This is Terminal 2. And Terminal 2 is originally northeast, which is the yellow aircraft. They had all of this side here, and then Braniff, and then northwest. But Delta bought northeast in about 72. And so this scene right here would be around that time when Delta moved their operation to Terminal 2. They ran 747s to Atlanta. Braniff ran 747s occasionally from Dallas Love Field. And then, of course, Northwest was a big operator to Minneapolis as well as to Asia ultimately. So there you have it. I mean, it's a great big world here of airplanes and terminals and activity, and I just absolutely love it. It's been a lot of fun building and a lot of fun collaborating with others who've helped me with whether it's ground equipment or providing aircraft or ideas. It's really been a real partnership with a lot of people. So I'm really happy to show it to you and look forward to your comments and questions. Another feature that we included in these displays is a lighted feature so that with the lights off at night, you can really see inside the terminals, you can see out on the concourses. And to be frank, we've learned a lot along the way. We started out with just some minor lighting as an accent, but we really started to work our way up to some very sophisticated lighting processes. And so with London Heathrow, we just want to showcase the interior of the terminal, a little bit of the concourses, but then you can see as you move to Mumbai and Los Angeles and John F. Kennedy, our lighting sequences have gotten a lot more sophisticated, probably the most sophisticated here with Mumbai. And again, my son Ryan and I came up with a great idea on how to utilize LEDs with clear plastic tubing to act as a fiber optic conveyance of the lights from underneath the board all the way up through the taxiways, runways, and other areas. And so, we have ramp lighting, we have terminal lighting, we have runway lighting, taxiway lighting, edge lighting. If you were to see the bottom of these boards, you'd probably be quite shocked at how much electrical current and other powers going through these systems. We even lit up the shantytown here with simulated fire barrels that you would see if you were overhead the shantytown. So really a lot of fun to do all this work, but very time consuming and very detail oriented to make it happen. And then if you slide over to Los Angeles, you can see that the Los Angeles runways and taxiways are also lit up, as well as the central terminal area. And again, this is something we've really enjoyed pulling together for the build because it really helps to show you the scope of the runways and how much taxiways are really operating there. And then finally, as you get over to John F. Kennedy, each one of the main terminals is lit up, and we have different colors to symbol the different air terminals. But we have a really nice selection of colors here. Particularly interested to see the Pan Am Worldport and how we lit that up in the American Airlines Terminal 8, which has the glass facade, and then the international terminal here where all of the wide-body international arrivals came in, with a red on the back side and a white lighting on the front side. In fact, we lit up the in front of the International Arrivals building, and if you get close enough, you can see all of the international carrier names and logos that you would find on the front side of the buildings. So if you just zoom all the way down through there, you'll see all the international carriers that operated out of John F. Kennedy Airport in the 70s and the corresponding aircraft right behind them on the ramp. So there's a lot of fun. The lighting does add a lot of drama to it. Some of our new builds that we have are going to include even more lighting. We're going to build Hong Kong Kai-Tak and show the rapid light approach, show the checkerboard square lit up, and the city behind the airport. So that will be a lot of fun to pull that together. The front curbside of the terminal was something that is very iconic and very well known. And if you kind of zoom in there, you'll see those beautiful columns that we have. We actually changed the colors from white to the Indian flag colors, orange, white, and green on a timer. But as you look in there, you can see the small tuk-tuk vehicles that bring people in, as well as the taxi cabs, the buses, and the bustling amount of people coming in, going inside the terminal, along with this beautiful landscaped parking garage top that they had there. But these jewels on top are all individually lit, and they also reflect light down inside the terminal, as well as if you can get way down in there, we actually have lighting in the arrival section as well, with people waiting for arriving customers coming in. So took this terminal to the next level, really showing a lot of the details that goes into running a modern day airport and the lighting complexities that result.